Welcome to the channel. The episode 8, the finale of season 1 of the Skeleton Crew, has just dropped, or at least I have access to it now. So I just watched it, and this is my review or opinion of the show. Um, in general, it wasn't a bad show. It's definitely targeted at a younger audience because um, the humor is more for younger people. It doesn't mean older people can't enjoy the Star Wars element of it, but it's meant for younger audience. And I think they were successful in doing that. I think they were able to make it an interesting show that kids like. I don't know. I'm not still a kid, and I don't have any kids to ask about it, but I thought it was an okay show. I didn't think it was horrible. I thought it was not too bad compared to some of the other shit that Disney's put out for Star Wars. This is actually somewhat better. Now there's some pretty gaping holes in the show that don't really make a lot of sense. But then because it's targeted at kids, sometimes you have to do that. For example, here at the end in this scene you can see on the screen, not a Jedi, that's what I call him, um, has hit the mother lode. Behind him you can see all the Republic credits. So Republic credits, everybody is all excited about Republic credits. Problem is we're into the New Republic. So the Republic, as I understand it, is Palpatine, old Star Wars before Order 66. So you've got credits made for that area, that era. The Republic was taken over by the Empire, which then was destroyed by the New Republic. So why would this monetary system still be in existence? Why would they still be making credits? Okay, they're in a um, this planet that's hidden and all this stuff, and nobody's told them to stop, so they keep making it. But if it's like normal money, there has to be a background, like country or whatever, that supports the currency. So they are small and shiny. They look like they were being gold, so maybe it's the material they're made out of. If they're made out of a important material, then they still have some net worth. But that's never made sense to me in the show. But anyways, again, do kids really care about that? No. So at the end of previous episode, we had the not a Jedi slash I'm a pirate now take over the kid's ship, use it to get into through their force field, if you want to call it that, the cloud that basically protects the planet and shields it and blocks transmissions, etc., etc. Because this ship apparently was from Adam or whatever this plane. I can't remember that half the time the planet's name, but it belonged there, so it lets it through the shield. Okay, so that kind of means that there's ships that can go through the shield, but doesn't seem to ever happen because they're so isolated. Anyways, I mean, the other dumb thing about it is they're looking for an emissary from the Republic. Not a Jedi shows up. They ask him, and of course, he goes, "Oh yeah, that's me." Like no background check, no fingerprint scan, no, you know, does he not have a little card key with around his neck on a lanyard that shows that he's, from the Republic or something? Like they just take it that he's, this emissary, and they start treating him as if he was. So the kids, of course, were told that they can't say anything about why he's really there, otherwise he'll slice their parents up. So that's kind of always a thing for kids in things in movies and TV shows. It's a big fear about losing their parents, so they often use it. But anyways, the parents show up and take the kids in, and are they in trouble? Ask not a Jedi, and oh yes, they're in trouble. They're going to be restricted to their homes, and I'm sending a robot to monitor their communication, monitor the kids. Again, why do they accept this? This why do they accept this judgment rule, whatever you want to call it? Um, and then so the robots kids go home with their parents. They can't say anything, and there's a robot for each kid just stands there staring at them the entire time. So yeah, that's not creepy. But yeah, so they uh, go off with their parents, except for the rebel girl. Her mother's there, and um, he's not a Jedi, wanting his ship to come in, and she says, "Oh, you'll have to." Everybody says you'll have to check with the supervisor, so they're going to go off and see the supervisor. Um, so they take off and get into a room, and one of the things that Not a Jedi does is he runs his hand over top of one of the computer terminals, and it's covered with dust. So it's like, well, does anybody ever come here or anything like that? Anyways, that question's never answered. But turns out the supervisor is a big robot. Oh, shock. Um, Anyways, he starts blabbing away about stuff. He recognizes Rebel's mom as being some kind of official, and um, Not a Jedi again uses the bullshit that he's an emissary, but and he wants his ship to come down. So uh, sort of a good part about it is the supervisor robot says, "Sure, I'll do that if you can answer me one question." Not a Jedi, sure, okay. Well, the question from the supervisor robot is, well, the last communication we had from the Republic was that Jedi were traitors. So, of course, that was Order 66, I guess, or something along that line. So then the supervisor robot says, well, what are you, a Jedi or are you an emissary? And that's when Rebel Girl yells out, he's a pirate coming here to take everything. And at that point, the supervisor robot says, oh, yeah, that's what I thought. Get him. So he sticks his robot guards on, which are about as useless as, I can't say. Well, I was going to say tits on a board, but anyways. Um, yeah, they're pretty useless, and Not a Jedi uses his lightsaber for once to do some sort of vaguely Jedi thing like blocking bolts, but he eventually takes the lightsaber he's got and rams it into the central eyeball that is kind of represents this supervisor robot. Basically kills it. At which point, all the attacking robots suddenly stop and die. Stop doing anything, stop moving. All the power in the surrounding area disappears. So all the lights go out. So yeah, that's um, so at this point, the kids figure they can tell their parents because the robots aren't working. So curly-haired kid tells his father, and that that the emissary is in fact a pirate. So um, uh, basically, uh, the rebel girl and her mother, they um, they're there, and Not a Jedi figures he's got some way of finds a button which must be marked as get rid of shields or whatever. He pushes it, and a big handle comes up, and the mother helpfully says, "Oh, that'll destroy the shield. Don't push it." Um, but she, because her daughter gets threatened, she says she'll show him how to get the pirate ship in. So she tells him stupidly, and the orbiting platforms they shut off, and Not a Jedi contacts what was it, Urkel? Yeah, Urkel pirate, and says he can land the ship. Um, so Curly, he's at home with his dad. He wants to save the rebel girl, so they uh, are going to try to figure out how they can do that. Um, they figure out that if they can get to the ship, their old ship, they can fly it up through the atmosphere and call the bird cat from a previous episode who was the person who knew everything about space lanes and routes and all that stuff, who basically called the X-Wings in on not a Jedi pirate. So there's a big hover bike chase, and that's interesting. The action in it is not too bad. Um, they get attacked by pirates who can't hit them or shit. Yeah. So these kids on these cheap hover bikes can't be hit by laser fire. I figure they must be ex-stormtroopers or something. They can't hit shit. But anyways, um, they get to their ship, and the docking clamps had grabbed it when it originally landed. They can't be removed because there's no power because the central supervisor computer was killed. So Curly and his dad decide they're going to go to the tower and restore the power. Elephant Boy had gotten knocked off his hover bike. So he says they're going to need covers, so he goes and finds the turbo laser. It's the same sort of turbo laser that was on that planet where they met the other kids that were um, fighting one of the other hidden planets that actually was destroyed and become unhidden. So apparently, turbo lasers have no locking mechanism, no key required, no card key, no passcode, because Elephant Boy jumps in and starts taking over this turret. Um, so Curly and his dad manage to turn the power on, um, and the ship takes off with the Asian chick with the visor flying up, and the just when the pirates are gonna shoot at her, the elephant kid starts shooting out the pirate ship with the turbo laser until they turn the guns on it, and he runs away. So yeah, they managed to get out of the atmosphere, and Asian chick is able to talk to Birdcat, who says they're gonna send the Jedi because they're the greatest at battling pirates. Um, okay. Uh, anyways, they're back there in the supervisor's tower, and we finally find out from not a Jedi where he picked up some of his. He can levitate and grab keys and stuff, and apparently, um, he gives a sob story of he was a kid hiding in some hole or whatever and hungry, and some Jedi found him and was thought he had potential and was training him, but eventually his master, I guess you could call him at the time, was killed. So that must have been at Order 66 time. So he said he learned some things, and it's kind of, if I guess if you're really picky about Jedi and stuff, I don't necessarily think it makes sense in some of the powers that he does have and doesn't have, based on somebody who's only done a little bit of training. But anyways, finally, Curly's father grows a pair of balls and attacks him, and at that point, they're fighting because a convenient switch to shut down the orbiting cloud is there, and they're fighting over who shuts it down. Um, so the rebel girl was going to shut it down, and her mother stopped her because her mother's afraid of that's their only line of protection, and she doesn't want it destroyed. But the kid says please, so she goes and helps curly-haired kid's father basically shut down this orbiting cloud and the orbiting platforms. At which time, all the people stand outside and they see the cloud disappear, and they finally see stars for the first time for most of them. And a bunch of X-wings show up, and they basically tear a new one into the pirate ship. I did see something new with, I think it's a B-wing. They kind of have this. It's almost like the laser from the Death Star, kind of like 3 or 4 points on the craft converge in a single point, and it carves a big trench through the pirate ship. Anyways, um, when the Asian chick was on their old ship trying to talk to the catbird, her ship got shot up by the pirates, and it's basically looked like it crashed. But of course, in a kids show, kids have all kinds of danger, but actually are never actually in danger. But anyways, the X-wings destroy the pirate ship. Um, Kids all take off with their parents, leaving Not a Jedi behind, and he kind of just standing there in the supervisor's room, not really doing anything, I guess, dreaming of his money that's disappeared. So they don't show anything happening with him. I would assume he'd just go steal a ship and bugger off. But anyways, there's no conclusion for his character. Um, Sort of getting near the end, the curly-haired kid, they say, "Oh, you're not going to have to do your assessment," because his father was so much on the assessment and what that would qualify him for. But he sits there looking dreamily at the X-wing fighters flying, and you know that he's probably going to want to become an X-wing pilot. So that's the end of the show. Not a horrible show by any means. The writing is okay with some pretty big plot holes, but it's appropriate for kids and adults can enjoy it too. Um, from what I understand, it's okay on canon. It doesn't Star Wars canon. It doesn't screw it up too badly. Um, but we basically leave it that Adam, the planet they're on, now has no protection. They're going to have to rely on the New Republic with their X-wing fighters. Um, the kids seem to have resolved some of the issue with their parents, although the Asian chick never had any problems with her lesbian parents. So she's not a problem. Elephant Boy's not a problem. Curly-haired guy seems like a kid wants to become an X-wing pilot. And rebel girls maybe not going to be such a rebel anymore. So resolutions all around. And even the robot that Not a Jedi decapitated with a lightsaber is still working and comes off the ship with the kids, even though he's holding his head in his hands. Um, Again, nobody dies in the show, more or less. Well, the Batman pirate died, but most people, good people, anyways, don't die in the show. So, they've left it open for a second season. What's going to happen to the planet now that doesn't have its cloud of secrecy? What's going to happen to Not a Jedi, who all of his pirate buddies got chopped up? I guess they do die. But his ship's destroyed. His pirate team either killed or took off, leaving him behind. So, again, you could carry forward on it. But that's it. Again, not a bad show, not a bad season. Uh, People are talking about, like, people that really like this show are all aflutter about they hope there's going to be a second season of it. Hit and miss for me. Apparently the numbers are not very good for this show. Uh, I don't know why. I guess I don't know. Maybe is there not a lot of kids interested in Star Wars anymore? Is there kids like don't have Disney Plus subscriptions or whatever? I thought it was fine. I think if they put it on like normal TV, it probably would do quite well. You don't have to have a Disney subscription or anything. But I think if they put it on like the Sci-Fi Channel or something like that, I think it would do quite well with young people. So that's it. Um, Not horrible, much better than The Acolyte for sure. Not as good as some of the other ones, but it was decent enough offering. You know. Okay, that's it.